Next on Current's News, bringing faith into the workplace is happening at some of the biggest corporations in America. A groundbreaking conference is set to supercharge the campaign. A report from Washington, D.C. is ahead. An unexpected surge in coronavirus cases is forcing the cancellation of Ash Wednesday in Hong Kong. Then, the conclusion of our special series on human trafficking. Survivors who broke the bonds of modern-day slavery speak out. Plus, loving people back to life. That's the mission of Bethany House. I went there to learn more about their work. The news starts right now. Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. There's a great and growing trend at some of America's biggest corporations, bringing your faith to work. That's the theme of a groundbreaking conference happening now in Washington, D.C. Current's News' Emily Drewby is there. Emily.
Christine, it's become pretty routine to see companies with support groups for all different diversity categories like gender and race, but now we're seeing a real push to add religion, and that's a push that will continue here at this conference. Some of the biggest corporations in America are making it easier and easier for employees of faith. According to AP, over 20% of the Fortune 100 companies have faith-based resource groups for their employees.
Google, Tyson, Intel, Facebook, Apple. Name brands that you know and love are also becoming more faith-friendly. Have you seen our awards?
Brian Grimm runs the Religious Freedom and Business Foundation. They help bridge the connection between business and faith. He and his team are gearing up for a groundbreaking conference at Catholic University about why providing support for the faithful in the workplace is not just needed, it's necessary.
Within the global population, more than 8 out of 10 people have a faith, and it's very important to them. And so if you're made to ask to leave your faith outside the door when you come in the company, that's a real hit for morale.
Some of the top companies from around the world are taking part, like Intel, American Airlines, and Tyson Foods. A move William Bowman of Catholic University says is important.
This changes everything, and we're a whole person. You know, we have our spiritual lives, certainly, we have our family lives, we have our work lives, but we're still one person, and we need one life.
While this is a growing trend, conferences like this are important because there's still a ways to go.
Companies have realized that it's important that you're able to bring your whole self to work, faith and all.
Brian and the rest of the team are hoping that this conference will continue that growth as companies from all over the country gather together to discuss best practices. In Washington, D.C., Emily Drewby, Current's News. Back to you, Christine.
Thanks, Emily. She'll be in Washington tomorrow as the high-powered conference breaks new ground on bringing your faith to work. Stay with Current's News for continuing coverage. There's a new development tonight concerning the Pope's landmark document on the Amazon. The Holy Father's close advisors are saying the door is still open for married priests. 2/3 of the bishops at the Amazon summit urged Francis to ordain married men to be priests in the region. He won't, but a top-ranking Vatican cardinal, Michael Curren, says that doesn't mean the door is shut forever.
We have married priests in other parts of the Catholic Church. So I find it hard to see how you can look for a closing of a door when in fact the door is not just theoretically, but practically. I mean, that's what we have.
Vatican officials are also saying the possibility of women deacons remains active, and the Pope is expected to revive a commission to study it. Brooklyn's Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio has high praise for what the Pope wrote, saying the Holy Father's apostolic exhortation is a sensitive document that vividly describes the cultural and ecological challenges of the Amazon. It is poetic at times, yet it makes a powerful statement about the problems the indigenous and the environment face in today's world. You can read the Pope's entire apostolic exhortation for yourself. It's now on thetablet.org. A tense meeting at the White House late today involving 2 men from Queens, President Trump and New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, going face-to-face behind closed doors to hash out a fight. This after New Yorkers were kicked out of the Trusted Traveler program because federal officials couldn't get access to the DMV database, which has information on undocumented immigrants.
We're kicking you out of this Trusted Traveler program because we don't have the information. I said to the Acting Secretary, I will give you whatever information you want on the enrollees for the Trusted Traveler program. But it's not rational, it's extortion.
Trusted Traveler allows passengers to breeze through security lines at airports. We're getting new information tonight on the religious vote in the New Hampshire primary, and Amy Klobuchar is the clear winner. In the overall contest, Bernie Sanders edged out Pete Buttigieg, with Klobuchar not far behind. When voters who attend religious services at least once a week were questioned in exit polls, the results reversed. Klobuchar captured 28% of them, while Sanders was a distant second with 15%. Pro-life Democratic leaders are warning the party to moderate its position on abortion, saying they are 21 million strong. The pro-lifers want changes, but all of the leading candidates are strongly for abortion. At the same time, Archbishop Charles Scicluna is responding to Pete Buttigieg's husband, who wrote about a future where every child is accepted. The Archbishop tweeting, "Right, and a future where every unborn child is accepted and recognized with his or her right to live and grow into the person they're meant to be." Scicluna is the Archbishop of Malta. Buttigieg is Maltese American. The U.S. has its 15th case of coronavirus, the first confirmed in Texas. Meanwhile, China's Hubei province announced 242 new deaths from the virus, twice as many as on the previous day. And officials there have also announced the most new cases in a day so far, nearly 15,000. A change in how they're diagnosing people could explain that jump in cases. Here in the U.S., there are flaws in the coronavirus test kits that were shipped to several states by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. According to the CDC, many kits produced inconclusive results. Now the CDC is remaking parts of the kits. The Catholic Church in Hong Kong is responding to the epidemic by canceling the Ash Wednesday liturgy, calling the next 2 weeks crucial in suppressing the spread of the virus. The diocese there has issued a general dispensation from Mass obligation through February 28th to help the faithful avoid public gatherings. Back here at home, the Knights of Columbus in Brooklyn is doing its part to help those who need it. From children with disabilities to wounded warriors, the Knights are coming to the rescue. Current's News' Tim Harfman has more from Bensonhurst.
The Knights of Columbus is one of the top organizations anywhere in the world dedicated to helping people in need.
We rise to the top, and when need be. And we just continue to move forward.
The council in Bensonhurst has been hard at work for a long time, 6 decades to be exact. Council number 4884 in Brooklyn focuses on charity, unity, fraternity, and patriotism, the same values the lay charity practices around the globe.
The Knights of Columbus has been dubbed the right hand of the church by Pope John Paul, and we live up to that.
One way they're living up to that title, bringing joy to children and those with developmental disabilities. The Bensonhurst Knights host summer picnics and Christmas parties, handing out presents that make every child smile.
You should see their faces when they get exactly what they want from Santa Claus. It's something that keeps me motivated to continue doing the good work.
Their good work also includes serving those who served, wounded warriors. The Knights visit hospitals to let vets know they're not forgotten.
Instead of raising their spirits, they raised ours.
To encourage patriotism, the Knights travel around town with this piece of steel, recovered from the World Trade Center. 9 tons of that steel went into the construction of the USS New York, a project the Knights helped sponsor. They say it's all to serve God and country.
We made 60 years, and we're looking for another 60.
In Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, Tim Harfman, Current's News.
An update tonight on a horrible story first reported on Current's News. More than 2,400 unborn children being buried in Indiana during an emotional service attended by hundreds of mourners. The aborted remains were found in the home and garage of a doctor after he died. Indiana's Attorney General Curtis Hill spoke at the gathering.
May each of the 2,411 buried here, now and forever, rest in peace.
Hill said the investigation into the deceased abortion doctor's actions is far from over. There's a lot more news headed your way. The latest installment of our special human trafficking series. They were exploited and abused, trafficked for profit. But now they're rising up and telling their emotional stories of survival and rebirth. And I'll bring you to Bethany House, where the mission is to rebuild the lives of homeless women and children through love. And now the nuns who run the shelter are getting a big boost. Stay with us. Over the past several weeks, you have seen some heartbreaking stories of tragedy, but also of triumph throughout our series on human trafficking. Senior reporter Tamara Lane joins us with her final report. And Tamara, some really tough stories to tell.
Really incredible stories, Christine. We have taken you around the world looking at the human trafficking crisis that knows no boundaries, robbing freedom and voices from vulnerable people. Today, we hear from survivors about the courage it takes to break free from modern-day slavery in a very special inside look at rebuilding after bondage.
It was a very powerful moment. The whole journey was very powerful.
There is power in truth, and when the truth finds light through the strength of voices rising up, anything is possible.
I don't fear talking about human trafficking or my family's experience, and in fact, speaking is empowering.
The journey from human trafficking victim to survivor to advocate is unique to each brave soul who breaks the bonds of modern-day slavery.
But the power is that you've learned to be able to kind of advocate for this issue.
Advocacy that begins with finally understanding their incredible worth.
What does it feel like when you actually feel that?
It's incredible, yeah. And then being able to take that to a whole other level and into advocacy.
Rachel, Tiffany, Yolanda, and Adriana, all survivors of human trafficking, now speaking their truth to help others.
Boys in the hood get recruited to be drug dealers, right? Very young. And then they drop out of school and da-da-da-da. Girls get recruited into the commercial sex industry.
You struggle with your identity, you struggle, right? The balance between being a victim and what a survivor looks like.
When survivors do break free and expose the realities of their experience, it's liberating.
That was a magical thing, actually.
Anza, a survivor of a fraudulent marriage, describes the moment she got her voice back.
I was nobody, and now I have been brought at a huge platform, the United Nations platform, to speak about my experience and to be a voice for all these other people.
And sometimes that kind of advocacy begins at home.
When I had to really sit down and explain to my family, so this happened to me at a point in time in my life. The stigma in the family that you guys put out there was that it was, right, I couldn't come to you guys. Or that I did do something wrong, and I felt like if I went to you all, you guys would have judged me. You probably deserve for that to happen.
But the road to recovery is a hard one.
Her journey was difficult. She described in high school not feeling like the other children.
Ingrid Johnson, whose daughter was trafficked when she was 13, says getting her to feel like a normal teenager again was a challenge.
Although she successfully completed high school in 4 years, it was a struggle just being acclimated. You had been changed. I think the best thing and the best gift that I could have given my daughter was to bring out honesty.
Honesty and the understanding that being a survivor means acknowledging past victimization and then moving forward in the fight to put an end to slavery around the world.
Being okay with understanding that it wasn't your fault.
For you to fully understand that and really believe it is a big step, a major step.
My next fight, I want to be the support, the voice for others. Human rights are equal for everyone, and everyone deserves to be heard.
Pope Francis has made the fight against human trafficking a cornerstone of his papacy. His words have been a call to action to everyone around the world, saying that we each have a responsibility to fight against the violation and degradation of our brothers and sisters. Christine?
Tamara, what can people do to help?
Right. When we talk about this, sometimes we think of it as an insurmountable problem because of the scope of it. But really, there are plenty of things that each individual can do to help. First, if you see the signs of human trafficking around you, you can alert the authorities. Besides the see something, say something philosophy, you can get involved with an organization that's combating this problem, or you can donate. All of the organizations that we highlighted take donations. For example, if you go to the GEM site, you can see how your donation makes a difference in a survivor's life. Every little bit helps.
Certainly does. Thank you, Tamara. And if you or someone you know is a victim of human trafficking and needs help, it's out there. Call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888. That's 888-373-7888. Or you can visit their website, humantraffickinghotline.org. And to learn more about this very important issue, join us next week for a Currents News special presentation, Human Trafficking Exposed, next Thursday at 8 p.m. A Long Island nun has made it her mission to help women and children in need, particularly those who struggle with homelessness. Tonight, an in-depth look at the shelter Bethany House, the women behind it, and the help they're getting to move forward.
It was very overwhelming. I felt like I was failing.
Joyce Clark was just 23 years old, a single mom of 2, when she found herself homeless.
You have to smile for the kids, and inside it's a very overwhelming feeling. You feel really dark.
But that darkness turned to light when she was placed in Bethany House.
At first, I really didn't want to go, but I didn't have a choice. But after going there, that's when all the weight got lifted off my shoulders.
The homeless shelter on Long Island for women and children was founded by Sister Amy Kuhnman in 1978.
The whole mission, the whole purpose is to love you back to life.
And when talking about their mission, Sister Amy refers to Isaiah 58.
We ask that you share bread with the hungry, you shelter the homeless poor, and do not turn your back upon your own. So we have a special mission to women and children.
Those women and children feel right at home at each of Bethany's 5 houses.
You have your own room, you have your own space, you have dinner every night, you have people who smile at you, you have staff who actually take care of you and are very welcoming. So it's a wonderful experience, it is.
But there are rules and expectations.
And we have an expression, at Bethany you either grow or you go.
Joyce says she grew while at Bethany House.
They taught me structure. They taught me, to grow, that growth is fine, that, sometimes you can get knocked back, but you pick yourself back up.
And she did get back up. Joyce now lives in her own apartment, but she still comes back to Bethany House to pay it forward, to help the new women there and share her story.
I've had a lot of challenges in life, and I sit here all day and tell you about them, but, I've been in the fire, I've came through the fire, and, at times you may still feel like you're in the fire, but I believe in God and I have faith, so I'll be fine.
Help is also coming from healthcare organization ProHealth, which just donated $100,000 along with clothing, toiletries, and diapers to Bethany House. Everything to help keep the welcome mat out and the door open.
Well, when we started, we said our job is to work ourselves out of a job. We felt that if we could really get hold of this problem, we could make a difference. I do believe we make a difference every day, but the problem keeps growing. It's much, much bigger than we are.
But their faith helps them go on and move forward.
Wherever God leads us, the pathway will open.
And Sister Amy and the others at Bethany House are going down a new path. They're starting a new program to help the children who go through the trauma of displacement and a pilot to help older single women. Still to come on Currents News, an American who changed history is being remembered ahead of her 200th birthday. Brooklyn's sister Marianne LaPiccolo joins me in moments to look at that woman's legacy. And the Girl Scout who just can't stop selling cookies. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. This coming Saturday would have been the 200th birthday of one of America's most famous suffragettes, Susan B. Anthony. Here to talk about her legacy is Sister Mary Ann LaPiccolo, the Episcopal Delegate for Religious in the Brooklyn Diocese. Welcome, Sister.
Thank you.
Now, many people know Susan B. Anthony because of the coin, because of her fight for the rights for women to vote, but there's a lot of controversy about her stance on abortion and the right to life. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Controversy is the word, because there's nothing definitive in her writings or in her actions that said she took a stance one way or another.
Right.
But all I can say in her behalf is that she lived faithfully by the tenets of a Quaker tenet that said that everyone is created equal in God's eyes. Like, that was her driving force in anything she applied her life.
Well, along those lines, this is Black History Month, as you know, and Susan B. Anthony was a major proponent in the movement to abolish slavery. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. It was interesting to learn of her family, if I can start there. Her mother was a teacher and her father was a politician. In dealings with her father and the guests that he would have at the home, like William Lloyd Garrison and Frederick Douglass, two advocates for abolition of slavery. So she was exposed to all of this. Well, then the fire was set in her that she was going to work with them for the abolition of slavery. So her contribution to the right to vote for the African peoples was well noted. When the 14th and 15th Amendments were passed that gave African men the right to vote, she was raging. She was furious because what happened to the women?
Right.
Why just the men? Again, that umbrella that everyone is created equal in God's eyes, which is something we believe. You know, we believe. I mean, Jesus said that in so many ways. There's no differentiation, nothing. And when we're called to serve and to be Christian in our behavior and in our ministries, it's to everyone.
We will celebrate her this weekend. Sister Mary Ann LaPiccolo, Episcopal Delegate for Religious in the Brooklyn Diocese. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And finally tonight, it's cookie season for the Girl Scouts. Selling the ever-loved treats such as Thin Mints and Samoas have been teaching young girls valuable lessons for more than 100 years. And there's one scout in Pennsylvania who's been selling them almost since the beginning. 98-year-old Ronnie Backenstow has proudly donned the all-green uniform for 88 years. First joining the group in 1932 at the age of 10. Since then, she's traveled the world as a scout, and now Ronnie wants to inspire the next generation.
I think that it was just part of living, and that's what really Girl Scouting is. It teaches you how to live.
And Ronnie says when she first joined the Girl Scouts, there were only 3 types of cookies, and each box, get this, only cost 15 cents. Wow. That is Current's News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.